Welcome back again. I'm here with my latest retro machine, an Olivetti M24SP. This is a very early PC, originally released in late 1985 and sporting some improvements over the IBM PC with which it was compatible. It's based on the 16-bit Intel 8086 processor running at 10 MHz, and I believe it's got a whole 512 kilobytes of RAM. Plenty for anyone, I'm sure you'd agree. This made it more than twice as fast as the IBM PC XT with its 4.77 MHz 8-bit CPU, and it also had substantially less RAM as standard. So the Olivetti came with all of its advantages and for less money. Graphics wise, it's able to output video resolutions up to 640 by 400 versus the IBM's 640 by 200, so you get double the pixels. Let's have a look at how it was when I found it, what's inside and what problems it has. Here is the condition that I got things in. So we've got the keyboard, which is some special magic keyboard I believe, that has a weird connector. See if I can get it to actually focus on it. Yeah, so it has that single row of pins up the top, 5 of them, on like a 9-pin D-sub connector. Which it also has an input for on the back, which I believe there may also be some special mouse that used to come with it, but this doesn't have that. So the keyboard itself is kind of cool looking. It's got this key with nothing written on it, so these are probably magic. But what it does have is F keys up to F18. That's 1.5 times more powerful than a current keyboard. And F18 is also plain, so, and F16. So, you know, these are all the cool keys. What I also noticed is that underneath it has these funky feet. So you have to push them in on a spring and rotate them. And that gives you like the low height. And this gives you the tool height. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of cracked up, and there's a lot. The clips that hold it together kind of busted up. So don't know what I'm going to do with fixing that. But yeah, we have the keyboard. It had this thing plugged into the parallel port, so probably some sort of anti-copying, anti-piracy thing for the piece of software that came with it, which is this data font thing. It says vinyl graphics system from 1990, but it says copyright 85. It's got two lines on the surface of the disk, so I don't know if that indicates there might be a problem with the drive, or that this thing has just been, you know, in that machine for decades, having the same tracks read over and over again. I guess we'll find out. It had this data font strip for going on the keyboard. So this must be for the F keys, although I don't think it goes all the way up to F18, sadly. Come on, focus. There we go. So I guess I'll detach that from the tape it's on and see if I can clean it up. Then we've got the main parts. So have a look at the monitor first. The monitor's got a couple of unusual features. It's very small. I'm guessing the viewable area is probably like 10 or 11 inches or something. Actually, I've got my ruler. Let's have a look. Now don't laugh, this is like my ruler from school. Well, that's almost 12 inches. So yeah, it has these things down here. I don't know if these are supposed to be at the back or the bottom. I guess you can loop a cable through. There's no other holes on the other side, so they can't go all the way through. So I guess it's just for sort of holding and tidying cables somehow. Now there is no power input that I can see on this monitor. There's nowhere for any other cable to plug in. So it has some Again, special cable. Everything's non-standard on this. Now, are these pins missing? Or is this what it's supposed to be like? Who knows? They don't appear to be wedged in the back of the machine anywhere. So you got the kind of design of it, which is quite neat. I like these dials. I guess they probably adjust the brightness and the contrast. Nice little bit of, as stereotypical as it is, Italian flair going on in the design, I feel. So let's have a look at the base unit. And here's the main part of the computer. So it has these cool kind of rounded grille all the way around. Don't know why there's this cutout in the side. I'm not sure if this is original or not. It looks, I think, yeah, it's got paint on there, so it must be original, but why is there, what's supposed to be here? Why is there a gap now? We have some sort of display up here. So it's like a red transparent piece of plastic. Don't know if it's just got lights behind it or whether there's like some sort of readout. To be fair, I don't think it has turbo or anything, so it's probably not going to have like a megahertz readout. We got the floppy drive, which is also kind of cool. It's got this lock, and when it's unlocked you can flip up the latch. And then down the bottom, what's this say, reset? Okay, yeah, that's a button. And then the power switch is lost inside the machine, so I'll have to see if I can get hold of that. Now let's have a look at the back. Round the back it looks like we've got a lot of available expansion slots. Have the monitor connector here, which just seems to be on its own. Don't know what this is for. You've got the serial in parallel here. This looks like the same sort of connector as the serial, but I guess when I have a look at the card I'll find out what it's for. We have the fan casing, sort of a cage around it, which you can remove. Kind of looks like maybe there should be a filter or something, but I don't know if this is an input or an output. Got the keyboard connected down here. Got the input and output power. Now normally if you had a pass-through that would be for the monitor, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Of course, I suppose you could be using it with any monitor, right? So maybe that's why they included it. And then the switch is, interestingly, the sort of O, which shows off, is on the end of here. So when you flip it on, that disappears. Another really satisfying switch there. So that's what I've found as it is. I think we'll open it up, have a check through things, get things cleaned, and see if it looks like it's sensible to power on. It was shown powered on in the eBay advert, so fingers crossed, should be working, but always a good idea to have a look inside, I feel. The case is off, so let's have a bit of a look at what we have. So we can see the floppy drive there, and underneath the cool red plastic we have, what, one light on the hard disk maybe? So that's a little disappointing. The hard disk is an ST225, which is apparently 21 megabytes of absolutely gigantic, full 5¼ inch space. Got the power supply at the back, and the power supply has these absolutely gigantic cables running out of it that look like you could start a car off them. Got a disk controller here, so I think this is floppy disk and hard disk. The card behind it with the what looks like a serial port on the back says Olivetti on it, so I'm guessing it's original equipment. It's also got a test date down there of 87, looks like July 87, so I guess this would have been a relatively late build for an 8086, maybe it was quite a cheap machine. Interesting design in that you have this kind of back plane on the bottom here, where on a modern computer you might be expecting the motherboard to be, but there's basically nothing on this. The video output, of course, is on the back of this card, so when I first looked I thought, wow, there's nothing on the motherboard and the video card's gigantic. But I think what it actually is that the whole computer's on this board and it has the video output on the back of it. So interesting layout there. And you've got this cluster of components at the back that looks like some sort of fungus. Haven't managed to spot the processor yet. There's nothing with an obvious Intel marking on it. But I'll have to have a look through. I'm now also spotting this big interface connector here, which says J6. Wonder what that does. 49, 50 pins, presumably. It's got some kind of white dust on it, so don't know if that means it was connected to something at some point, or what. Lovely sort of bodge resistor there, and a whole bunch of bodge wires. More examples of classic Italian engineering, if we're being a bit mean. Pretty common on these old machines. Has to be said that compact portable 286 I have is a real paragon in that respect. Unusual to see something with almost no bodge. I had no bodge wires and just a single, very neat looking resistor attached to one of the chips. Okay, well this thing is filthy and I need to get down to the power switch in the bottom here. So a bit more disassembly required, I think. Well, here is the motherboard. Unusual design then. So the motherboard's kind of hidden underneath the computer. Has a couple of connections on the side here to that card which has the video output on it. And then that card also then connects the kind of backplane connector on the other side, which gives you all of your expansion connectors. And you can see these big screws here, which is where the power comes through all the different cards. So yeah, pretty weird one. Here's the processor, 8086-2. Got a spare slot here, maybe this is for an FPU or something. Another one up here. Got a lovely dodgy Varta battery, but because this thing is upside down, of course, hopefully all the acid has just dropped into the base and not gone anywhere near the motherboard itself. So I'll get that clipped out and carry on cleaning up. We'll see where we get. Here we are for another episode of Will Old Computer Go Bang? Nothing plugged into the power supply edition. Love these. Strong fan. Let's try some other bits. Well, the hard disk sure makes some funny noises, and isn't that an interesting pattern on the screen? The lights are flashing on the keyboard. What does that mean? A lot of things say pass. Why is it looking healthier second time around? It makes a kind of funny noise, and the hard disk makes a lot of clicking. Now, 128k of RAM, that sounds too low, so I wonder if it's in fact failing on some of the RAM stuff, and whether the power supply is a bit tired and that's why it's corrupted at the first power on and not on the second, unless it's random. Got the machine upside down to expose the motherboard. Quite a cool design. You just, you can slide the bottom cover off and get to the motherboard, or flip it over. take the top cover off and get to the expansion cards and power supply and other bits and pieces. So I believe I have now set the first 4 switches on that adorable little switch bank to use only 128k of RAM, which I think is the minimum. So let's see if that helps it to post. Oh, that's different. Okay, so let's hit the reset and see if we get rid of that corruption. The keyboard light stopped flashing. Nope. Definitely passed the RAM though. Oh, it's booting something. Okay, so it will work up to 384k of RAM. And nothing above. I think it's got 2 banks of 384k each. So I guess one of the banks is faulty. Oh, we've got a clear screen now, it's the right way up. A bit suspicious there. Fixed disk not ready. Got an optional ROM. Who knows what that is? So I guess it was booting off that completely knackered looking floppy disk, which stuns me, to be honest. Well, seems like it's the floppy drive that works upside down. Oh good, okay, I thought the keyboard was going to be duff for a second then, but it did. I am frankly stunned that that floppy disk actually works. The fact that it works upside down is interesting, and the fact that the screen corruption happens when it's upside down. I think I've got some bad contacts somewhere, so I may need to go through and try cleaning some contacts or checking some solder joints or something, but it's roughly working, it's not too bad.